Hello everyone, my name is Sinfury Heart and I am so excited to talk about one of my favorite Vita games that have finally been revived after 10 years. Freedom Wars. If you have been following me on Twitter and probably seen it mentioned on other gaming news sites, Freedom Wars will be out next year in January as part of the 10th anniversary. The 10th anniversary will happen this October on the 28th for the global version. For October 29th, it is the European version, but we still kind of consider them the global versions because they're very well connected. You know, they came out at the same time. The Japanese versions for the 10th anniversary already passed back in June. For those who are new to my channel or longtime viewers, I will give you a short summary about this game that was locked in the Vita library for a very long time. Freedom Wars is a monster hunting action game with multiplayer involved. PvE and PvP is also included, along with other features such as capture the flag and rescuing NPCs from the mechanical beasts. I was very surprised that this game was making a comeback like this, especially when the original IP was being held hostage by Sony themselves. In a recent interview posted by the Japanese PlayStation blog, it was Bandai Namco that stepped in to help out with publishing. Here is the article that shows this. I am using Google Translate, by the way, so my apologies if the translation looked odd to you. There is also an IGN article that showed their experience with the PlayStation 5 version, but I will get back to that in a bit. Here are some things that are mentioned in the PlayStation blog and the interview by Takashi Tsukamoto and Tetsuyosuke Seki. Both of them were a part of the original team that made Freedom Wars and are a part of DIMPS. I won't go over all of it, but just some major highlights that I noticed and wanted to comment on. As I mentioned before, with Bandai Namco making the decision to publish Freedom Wars, Bandai Namco is very familiar with publishing games that are done by the same developers of Freedom Wars. If familiar with the God Eater games, Bandai Namco has published them before in the past. It was the God Eater games that came first before Freedom Wars, and the devs later on worked on Freedom Wars. If you have played both games, you do see some similarities. One of the new features is new controller setup, but you can customize the button layout as well. A reminder that this game was originally played on the Vita, so it makes sense to allow the controls to be adjusted for the modern day consoles and PC. I am very happy that they were considerate about this. Keep in mind that the controls are still jank like they were back then. Most of us are used to it by now. The weapons crafting system has been revised. No more RNG stats. And no more saves coming. I confess that myself and many others abused that back in the day. Crossplay is not going to happen with PC and Sony consoles, which is a sad shame, but kind of expected at this point. You can crossplay together with the PS4 and PS5 versions. New English voice casts. This was a surprise to me, but a new feature to look forward to. In the global version of Freedom Wars, the original version obviously, it was Japanese voices only. I assume they thought this was going to be a less popular game back then and decided to skip including English voice actors. They also removed customizing the AI voice lines for your accessory, which is your partner in the game. A lot of us were very disappointed, so here's hoping you can maybe customize their lines in this version. There will be no new enemies, no new weapons, and no new ending. A sequel is in a high possibility. If you played the original, it did end on a cliffhanger, and that made a lot of us sad because we thought we would never get a proper closure. Maybe it will. We will have to wait and see. All DLC is included in this version, so no more feeling left out about pre-order bonuses anymore. I think it was only a black suit and tie from the original version. I don't remember what the pre-order bonuses are for the DLC for the Japanese version. I only own and played the global version. The enemy AI has been adjusted in this version. I do admit that the human AI can be very aggressive and a headache to deal with. I am glad they took this into consideration. A sequel is a high possibility and they have big plans for it. And last, this is a major change from the global version. There will no longer be a global region-specific panopticons. In the global version, you could choose whatever panopticon to represent different parts of the world. If you lived in New York, for example, you could pick New York Panopticon. I'm going to call it PT because Panopticon is kind of difficult to say for me. If you were for Germany, you could represent Germany PT and so on. Sadly, this is no longer a feature anymore in the remastered version. Instead, all global players and Japanese players will represent Japanese prefectures since the game does take place in Japan. At least that's what I'm assuming from the game's feature setter. While I am a little disappointed and can no longer represent Houston Panopticon, I am okay with this decision and I understand why they decided to go with this. If you want to check out the rest of this article, I will link it below. Also, the remastered footage is from the Famitsu Tube channel, linked down below as well. The IGN article by Michael Higum, sorry if I mispronounced your name, shared his experience playing the remastered version on the PS5. I definitely think you should check out his article since he had a wonderful time playing it and appreciated the positive changes that happened. My final thoughts about this. I am so damn happy. I can't believe it's happening. When I saw the announcement, I was in tears of joy. I didn't think the possible would happen. But it did. It doesn't feel real to me, but it still feels like a dream. But I'm so glad that I and my friends, we never gave up hope. We knew it would return someday. I hope that Freedom Wars rises up in popularity like it did back then. We need an amazing action hunting game to bring us together again. Let's contribute. Thanks for watching my video about reacting to the remastered version of Freedom Wars. Take care and have a wonderful day.